What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dragon Ruler deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because Dragon Rulers are an extremely powerful deck now that we have all the Dragon Rulers back at 2. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name, description, every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Title. Title is definitely a 2-of in the build. All the Dragon Rulers are amazing, but Title is particularly amazing because it sits at 2,600 attack points, making it absolutely massive. But all of your Dragon Rulers actually share a common effect, that if this card's in your hand or your graveyard, you can banish a total of 2 other corresponding attribute and or dragon monsters from your hand or your graveyard, except this card does special summon this card, but during your opponent's end phase, return this card back to your hand. Also, if this card is banished, you can add a corresponding attribute dragon type monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect that all of your Dragon Rulers actually share. Now, Title's unique ability is that you can actually discard this card and a water monster to the graveyard, and then send a monster from your deck to the grave, which is a pretty cool effect. We then play 2 copies of Blaster. Blaster's definitely a 2-of in the build because this card actually helps you pop cards on the field. It's actually the strongest of all the Dragon Rulers, sitting at 2,800 attack points. You can actually discard this card and a fire monster to the graveyard, and then target 1 card on the field and destroy that target, which is a great effect to help you pop cards on the field. We then play 2 copies of Tempest. Tempest is really good as a 2-of in the build to be able to use in this deck, because this card is a great ability that you can actually discard this card and a wind monster to the graveyard to add a dragon type monster from your deck to your hand, meaning this card is one of the most useful Dragon Rulers in the entire deck because it can actually search out other dragons. We then play 2 copies of Redox. Redox is definitely a 2-of in the build as well, because this card is basically a monster reborn that has the ability you can discard this card and an earth monster to the graveyard, and then target 1 monster in your graveyard and special summon that target, which is a great effect to help you bring back one of your monsters to your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Stream. Stream is really good as a 2-of in the deck to help you bring out your copy of your Title to your side of the field, which is great. That basically all the baby Dragon Rulers help you summon out the big Dragon Rulers, which is amazing. We then play 2 copies of Burner to help us summon out Blaster, 2 copies of Lightning to summon out our copy of Tempest, and 2 copies of Pebbles to summon out our copy of Redox. This is really good in the deck to be able to play them all at 2 because it makes it super consistent to help us bring out our Dragon Rulers to our side of the field, and they're just really good in the deck as 2-ofs. So that's it for the monsters, for the Dragon Ruler monsters. Let's get into the other spicy tech monsters we're playing in this build. So for the other monsters, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Red Rose Dragon. Red Rose Dragon is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is extremely powerful to be able to play in the deck because it's actually a level 3 tuner monster, meaning it makes it super easy to normal summon this card out to your side of the field and go for a level 10 synchro play using any of our Dragon Rulers plus this card. This card also has the ability, if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon a Rose Dragon monster from your hand or deck, except another copy of this card, letting you summon out your copy of your Rux Rose Dragon. Rux Rose is great in the deck as a 2-of because if this card is normal or special summon, you get a card that mentions Black Rose Dragon from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which will search out our Black Rose spell card, which is amazing to grab this card from our deck to our hand. Basil Rose is such a powerful card because this card is basically a monster reborn for our Rose Dragons, helping us go in for more synchro plays or even link plays. We then play 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. Kashtira Unicorn is really good as a 3-of in the deck because this card is actually a wind monster, so it works with our copies of Tempest, but it's also a level 7 monster that can special summon itself for free. That if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and during your main phase, you can add a Kashtira spell from your deck to your hand, meaning we can instantly grab our copy of Kashtira Birth from our deck to our hand, which is an amazing card to grab off of Unicorn. This card also has the ability, when you declares an attack, or if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can look at your opponent's X deck, and if you do, banish 1 monster from it face down, helping you deal with your opponent's X deck before they even get to summon out their boss monsters. We then play 3 copies of Fenrir. Fenrir is definitely a 3-0, just to help you spot remove cards off the field, plus it can search out your copies of Unicorn, and it can search out additional copies of itself to be able to use with our Dragon Rulers, which is important because this card is actually an Earth monster, so you can use it with your copy of Redox. This card is amazing in the deck as well, because if you don't control a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field, you can search itself or Unicorn, and it just spot removes stuff off the field. It's one of the best board breakers in the entire game. We then play 2 copies of Nemesis Corridor. Corridor is really good as a 2-of in the deck to help you summon out Thunder Dragon Colossus, as lets you target one of your banished monsters, except another copy of this card, special summon this card in the hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck, which is a great ability to be able to use to basically just put back one of the cards that's banished, and then summon out this card, and then tribute it to summon out your copy of Thunder Dragon Colossus, essentially locking down your opponent, which is crazy powerful in this build. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically use this card to stop the opponent from touching the deck, plus it's a fire monster, so it works with our copies of Blaster. We then play 3 copies of Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner is really cool as a 3-of in the deck, basically just to stop your opponent's monster effects, plus it's a wind monster, so it works with our copies of our Tempest. We then also play 3 copies of Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell's amazing in the deck as a 3-of to be able to work with our copy of Redox because it's an Earth monster, plus this card stops the opponent from touching the graveyard. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're just going to be playing starting out with a single copy of Basil Rose. Basil Rose is really good as a 1-of in the deck to be able to use to special summon a Rose Dragon monster from your hand or grave in defense position, basically being a searchable monster reborn. Speaking of searchable monster reborns, we also play a single copy of Cash to Birth, being the only other spell we play in the entire deck. This card is searchable off our copy of Cash to Unicorn, which is why we just play a single copy, which lets us normal summon a level 7 monster without tributing, which is a great effect to the amount of level 7s we play in this deck. Also, during your main phase, you can special summon one of your non-XZ Cashier monsters that's banished or in your graveyard, which is a great effect to help you bring back your Cashiers to your side of the field. And if your opponent activates a spell card effect while you control a Cashier monster, you can target 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard and banish them all face down, which is a crazy powerful effect. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of Arms of Gen X. This card is the main boss monster of the entire extra deck, and this card is a crazy powerful card that gives you multiple negates. This card has the ability that when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish a monster from your graveyard with the same attribute to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster, which is a crazy powerful effect to be able to use on this card that basically just banishes your Dragon Rulers to be able to stop your opponent, while also giving you pluses off the Dragon Rulers effects, which is absolutely insane. This card is the main boss monster in the entire extra deck, and such a powerful card to be able to play in Dragon Ruler because it's so easy to summon out with one of your Rose Dragons plus any level 7 monster to be able to make this card. Then play a single copy of Dispatter. Dispatter is also really easy to make in the deck, and it's also a walking negate. It's just really good in the deck overall to be able to summon to your side of the field because it comes out at 3,500. We then play a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign is really good in this deck because you banish so much, so it's just going to be spot moving cards off the field like crazy. Also, for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense, and monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense. And if this card would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish the card from your grave instead, which will give you more pluses off your Dragon Rulers, and also has a really cool ability. If a card is banished, you can actually banish a card each from both your opponent's field and graveyard, dealing with cards on your opponent's field, and it doesn't even target, which is amazing. We'll play a single copy of Blaze. Blaze is really cool as a 1-of in the deck as well, as once per turn you can detach material from this card to destroy 2 cards, one from your hand or field and one your opponent controls, which is a great effect just to pop cards on the field. Also, you can manage a total of 2 fire and or dragon monsters from your hand or grave to special summon this card from the graveyard, but return it back to the extra when it leaves the field, which is a great effect to help you bring this card back to your side of the field. We'll play a single copy of Big Eye. Big Eye is great in the deck to help you take control of your opponent's monsters, 1 copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack. This card is one of the most important cards in the entire extract for our Link lineup because it helps us summon out 2 tokens, which is going to help us summon out our copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul, which is a great card to help us draw more hand traps. And we have a single copy of the Darkest Dragon Doom Rider. Darkest Dragon Doom Rider is really cool in the decks, helps you pop cards on the field. As you once per turn, you can detach 2 materials on this card to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. And if you destroyed a monster, you can make 1 face-up monster you control gain attack equal to destroyed monster's original level or rank times 300 until the end of the next turn. And this cannot attack, this card cannot attack the turn you activate its effect, but it's a quick effect. This card has a dragon as a material, but it cannot activate during the damage step, which is a great effect to be able to use this card to basically just use this as a quick effect to pop a card on the field, basically making it a Trident for the deck, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Thunder Dragon Colossus. Colossus is super easy to summon with your copy of Corridor, because since you activate Corridor's effects in your hand, to be able to summon out Corridor to your side of the field, you can simply tribute your copy of Corridor to summon out Colossus, getting you a big boss monster out on your side of the field. It's basically going to stop your opponent from searching. And play a single copy of Access Code to pop multiple cards on the field. Just a really good boss monster to make in the deck, and a really powerful card overall in this build that comes out absolutely massive. 1 copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul, so we can draw multiple cards, which is just amazing. By paying 1,000 life points every single turn, we get to draw a card, which is insane. We then play a single copy of G-Golem Crystal Heart. G-Golem Crystal Heart is essential for the deck to be able to use, because it basically uses your copies of Link Spider to bring back 1 to your side of the field, and you use this, plus your copy of Link Spider to bring out Decode Talker Heat Soul. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight could be traded out for Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, or even the Dark-Armed XZ, which I decided not to play in this build because we are playing Blaze already in this build, but it's still really good to play in the deck if you do have the room. So you could drop SP for it, which I did actually really consider doing at the last minute, but I decided to play SP instead. Then we have a single copy of Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal is really good in the deck to be able to play because it's very easy to make in this deck. It's just a really good card to help you just basically bounce cards off the field. And then finally play 2 copies of Link Spider. Link Spider is really good in the deck overall, as your copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack will generate you 2 tokens on your side of the field, and once it generates those tokens, use both of them to make 2 Link Spiders, then use the 2 Link Spiders to make G-Golem Crystal Heart. G-Golem Crystal Heart will bring back a Link Spider, and then you go into Decode Talker Heat Soul, which is basically going to give you a draw every single turn, which is insane. So that's it for the deck, guys. I would enjoy this deck. Is insane. If you guys have never played Dragon Rulers before, you should definitely give this build a try because it's such a fun deck to be able to play, especially when you tech in the Rose Dragons and you go into cards like the Arms of the Gen X, which is such a powerful boss monster to be able to make in this build because it's crazy powerful to be able to use as a negate. So that's going to do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.